We've got a few questions to finish out our prior study and then our current study, and then I'm going to ask you about the chorus of that song that I've given you as a kind of a listening assignment over the past 2-3 weeks. So let me pose this question, and again, it's not rhetorical, it's looking for answers from you guys. And especially as we've just started out with our Jesus encounters, this question reads or sounds like this. So what does Jesus expect me to be doing daily, weekly, monthly, and period? What does Jesus expect me, and please expect me, insert your name, expect me to be doing daily, weekly, monthly, period? What's his expectations? What are you supposed to be doing?
We're supposed to tell others about Jesus. I mean, that's what the Great Commission is about. So we're supposed to tell others.
That sounds narcissistic.
Well, okay.
Yeah, but that's kind of what.
But that's what we're supposed to do. But whatever.
You know, I appreciate your comment there, Preston, because if anybody else says, hey, tell everybody about me, it's like, okay, yeah, no. But at the same time, when you're talking about the Son of God who did all that he did for us, that's something to tell about, and we should tell about, not that. But there's more. We're instructed to, and we've got in the old King James a terrible word, because it kind of steers us towards something that's really not the focus. Instead of study to show yourself approved, the word there is to be diligent. We're supposed to be diligent, and that's a kind of a daily thing. There's also pray without ceasing, rejoicing always. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we're supposed to be doing with a lot of regularity.
Okay. Okay. Since you said that, Gene, and I didn't say it, why aren't you? And I don't mean you personally. But I do. Why aren't you? Why aren't you? And when I mean you, you all. Why aren't you?
Why aren't you? From a New Englander.
Say that again, Gene.
I was just saying, you all is a good word for a good, Connecticut dude.
Yes,
Or
because correct. You all.
Well, that's true. You did actually separate them, and that did not put an apostrophe in there.
Correct. So how come you're not doing that? Praying without ceasing. Being diligent. Rejoicing always.
It's hard. It is hard. We get distracted. Nathan.
Yes. Why?
We get distracted.
Why are you a terrible person?
Go ahead, Nathan. Why do you say it's hard?
Hard.
Because it is.
Yes, we go.
It's very counterintuitive to who we are as people. We're told to pick up our cross daily and die for Jesus. It's like when he rose from the cross, it was not I, it was me. And yet, here we are trying to keep ourselves alive by pursuing things that we prefer to do. Would you rather watch football on Sunday, or would you rather church? Where are we spending the time? And we're putting more of the time inside us and having our instead of bring yourself to Jesus, you get immediate satisfaction or immediate pleasure in doing the things that we think we want to do instead of doing the things that we should do.
We are easily distracted. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if we're not plowing new ground right now with Nate yelling out, it's hard. If we're not plowing new ground, how come our worship congregations aren't saying the same thing that Nate just said?
Money.
So, did Nate say money? Did Nate say money?
He did.
Okay. Okay.
He did. You know, you almost have to look inside yourself and realize that, as Nathan has said earlier, we suck. And that, you know, it's hard for us to do that as people, as humans, because we have to see our shortcomings and all of our problems. Go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just gonna say that's not a popular message on Sundays. Could you imagine you come into church and the pastor gets up there and say, "I'm here to tell you people, you all suck." I mean, who's gonna come to hear that?
That's true, because everybody sugarcoats all the messages on Sundays anymore because they want to bring the people in and give the feel-good message.
Brother Joel figured that out way early, didn't he?
Who?
Joel.
Oh, Joel, yes.
So Steve would target with this is he's saying no one wants to come to church and hear, number one, you suck. And here's the second message. And this is where Nate was. You suck, and the remedy for sucking is hard. Now, let me throw out a weird historical point to help you at least put your heads around this, to recognize that Nate's point about money and maybe other things affect why this isn't the message today. Look, you hear me regularly say that the Puritans sucked the life out of fun. But their intent was really to honor Jesus by saying, we stink. We stink as regular human beings, and the only remedy for our stench is the Lord Jesus. Now, we can take a look at sinners in the hands of an angry God and other such kinds of presentations that were presented to a very different perspective people, where they recognized themselves in relation to a holy, righteous, and eternal God. We're not that generation. We're not that society anymore. So we don't want to hear we suck. We don't want to hear it's hard. In fact, we want a really good buffet/mall experience when we go to do this thing that's supposed to make us feel good. Let me pause there.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. You're good.
My thought is the first century Jewish community and religious community had the same sort of thing going on, because when Jesus came in and began to disrupt the whole thing, there was a whole fear of, we're going to lose our authority, we're going to lose our money, they're going to take away our temple, we're going to cease to be a nation, and the list kind of goes on. There was a terror in their heart because this Jewish carpenter's son was coming in and stirring up stuff. But I think that's what we're supposed to do now.
Well, okay. I very much embrace what you just said, Brother Gene. And folks, that really is kind of what my clarion call for us is if we really lived like we don't know that tomorrow's a given, we really lived like all you had was today, and today to make a mark, I would believe that your day would look very different. But I think that we've gotten very, very comfortable thinking, well, tomorrow's going to be the next day, and then so on, and then so on, and then so on. So we don't have a sense of eagerness and a sense of diligence with each day. We don't really necessarily count each day as valuable. We'll get around to it. But we don't know what circumstances say that this might not be our same gathering group from week to week, or even from day to day. And we recognize that more so than taxes, that until Jesus comes back, that death is imminent. So you've heard me say, I think countless times over the years, that from one of my favorite movies, there is a lesson about the heart. And that movie is A League of Their Own. And it's an exchange between a player who's exhausted and who has a kind of busyness in her life that precludes her from wanting to continue playing baseball. And the coach approaches her because she's the best on the team and their best chance of winning the championship, and says, "Why are you leaving?" And very simply put, she says, "Because it's hard." And folks, this is kind of the workout trail I've hoped that we're on and we're comfortable and continuing to engage in, and engage in it sincerely over the course of the time that we're together, the Lord gives us together. His answer to her is, it's supposed to be hard. The hard is what makes it good. And if it weren't hard, everybody would be able to do it. So when Nate refers to picking up my cross and following Jesus, that it's hard, that in our normal condition, without being able to exchange Jesus' righteousness for our own, we are bereft of anything of worth to our Creator. There's a toughness and a hard, folks. And there's the wide gate, and then there's the narrow one. And I know we don't talk about that so much because our worship songs pretty much say, everybody's going through the gate, it's cool. Everybody's going through the gate, I like you. Fill in your own favorite feel-good message song. I just wrote that on this. Please don't copyright that and don't play it in your church settings because it wasn't very good. But my point being, folks, we're really trying to, like a good sports team, like a good entertainment ensemble, working to be the best we can be. And that's about training. It's about discipline. It's about diligence. It's about knowledge. It's about anticipation. It's about expectation. And it's about delivering regularly every time we're called on. And for us, folks, I use kind of an entertainment mode or sports mode to suggest we should be about our Father's business every day. And our next study is going to talk about some of the things that Brother Gene espoused. If you are not rejoicing every day, then it's going to be incumbent on you to do the work to get there. If you're not being diligent every day, it's going to be incumbent on you to do the work to get there. If you are not praying without ceasing, it's going to be incumbent on you to do the work. So if you are hearing Christians or hearing even our guys saying, I don't have the time, I'm too busy, I'm too overwhelmed, I can't get around to that, it's not a viable reason. It's an excuse. And that's going to be one of those tough truths that people won't come to church to hear. So I'm kind of done for this week because I've got Steve K on the platform, but I've left enough insults out there for you guys to go ahead and close out with some comments or your thoughts.
I do have one that kind of the Lord brought home to me years ago. It was one of those things where you read it in the King James and it's like, oh, okay. But then all of a sudden you read it in context and how we're supposed to understand it. It's like, here's what it is. And I can't give you the address, but Jesus never gave an address for a quote that he gave. It says, and I'm going to say in English now, not old English, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. So that, when I first heard it, was like, okay, I've got to keep on buttoning up, I've got to keep strengthening. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, if I faint in the day of adversity, my strength source is wrong, is what I finally realized. If I'm relying upon my own strength and bucking myself up and trying to just, soldier through, something's wrong. But if I give God the opportunity, then I won't faint.
What is it? Psalm says, 13, I believe I will faint it.
Yeah, that's a whole nother situation where David's going, I look at all these, the ungodly getting all these blessings, quote unquote, and if I not believed, I would have just gone, what's the point? So that's my sermonette for the week.
Okay, I'm going to jump on that a little bit and give folks an opportunity to comment before Steve pops up. Immediately when you said that, although I couldn't remember the passage, I did remember a song. And that song is one we don't sing very much, but you hear me at least use the refrain, if not the name of the song, all the time. Jesus paid it all. In the lyrics, there's a reference to our strength indeed being small, because our source regularly comes from us. We don't necessarily put a whole lot of stock into the Jesus paid it all, but folks, especially when you're reading Ephesians, especially by the time we get to Ephesians 6, you got to recognize what Jesus paid it all really means. We have all the tools to not only survive, but thrive in this life, looking forward to the next one. So, other thoughts? Steve K is on track to step in. Any other thoughts? I was terribly insulting. I was terribly, I don't know, it was just awful, some of the things they said. All right. Having said that, I'm really very, very celebratory of you guys going out and looking to talk to Jesus with folks you know and folks you don't know. That gets exciting. It really, really does. That's the kind of stuff, and I'm not going to first, second, third John on you, but I get delighted when we're going about our Father's duty, and it feels like I had a little bit of a hand in that. That is magic. Well, not magic. So please continue on and be aware. I'm going to push the hard teachings. I think Steve's bringing that right up. Bruce and Gene and I talk about the hard teachings, because taking up our cross and following him is no, you know what? It's not for punks, but punks don't have to stay punks. Punks, because Jesus paid it all, become royal priests. They just got to figure it out.